Welcome to the Cinematic Trail, an AI-generated deep dive conversation into the ever-evolving world of cinematography. From exposure theory to lens choices, from lighting philosophy to creative workflows, we explore the craft, the gear, and the stories behind the frame, one trail marker at a time. Want to take your cinematography to the next level? Explore our online courses and learn more at cinematic.com. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly insights and inspiration. Let's begin the journey.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Let's dive right in. You know those big behind-the-scenes photos from film sets?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You see just dozens of crew members, right? It looks like this huge operation. DPs, gaffers, sound guys, everyone swarming around.
A real army.
Exactly. And it's so easy to look at that and think, wow, if I just had that kind of team, I could make something incredible too.
The bigger is better mindset.
Totally. We fall into that trap thinking a massive crew is like the secret sauce for cinematic quality.
It seems intuitive.
But what if that's not really the whole story? What if, needing a huge team isn't actually essential for top-notch work? What if that crew size isn't the thing holding you back? And what if sometimes having a big team can actually be, well, a disadvantage? Not just in film, but like any project where people work together.
Interesting. So going smaller can be better.
That's what we're diving into today. We're looking at some really fascinating ideas from Chris Dinard from Cinematic. He's a filmmaker, been doing this a long time, and he argues that working with a small team can be a huge advantage,
right,
like leading to amazing quality work, but faster and more efficiently. So let's unpack this core idea, the sort of common belief that more people automatically equals more quality. My gut reaction is, yeah, more hands, more specialists, better results, right?
That's the standard thinking.
But Chris flips that. He says a large crew can actually slow you down, add complexity. How does that actually work in practice?
Yeah, it does sound counterintuitive, I get that. And look, it's absolutely true that every single role on a set is important. Each person brings expertise.
Sure. A DP, gaffers, grips,
yeah,
they all have specialized skills.
Exactly. Your director of photography shapes the whole look. Grips manage rigging, camera movement gear. Gaffers are the lighting experts. Every specialist adds real value. Yeah. But there's a really fine line between just adding people and actually improving efficiency. You reach a point where the, let's say, marginal quality gain you might get from more people and, more gear just isn't worth the extra cost.
Or the hassle.
Or the hassle, exactly. Or it's just not justifiable within the project's budget.
So what counts as a large crew in this context? We're not talking Hollywood blockbusters here, are we?
No. For things like TV commercials or, say, corporate films, a large crew might be a director, a DP, maybe a couple of camera operators, an audio engineer, makeup artist, a few grips, a gaffer, a DIT, that's the digital imaging technician managing data, and maybe a few PAs, production assistants.
Okay, still a decent number of people.
Yeah, for many projects, that's a significant team. Yeah. And you're saying that level of scale can actually become a bottleneck. That feels wrong somehow. It really can. If you scale up, you hit these major trade-offs almost immediately. The whole process just slows down a lot. Well, the logistics get way heavier. Complexity just skyrockets. Imagine, Chris uses this example, a corporate shoot in a New York City high-rise.
Okay.
Bringing in a full grip truck that's basically a big truck packed with lighting and rigging gear and a full crew. Suddenly, you're wrestling with parking permits, booking freight elevators, long load-in times, setup times. Yeah. It's a whole production before the production.
Right, layers upon layers, like corporate bureaucracy almost.
Exactly. It's like trying to push a quick update in a giant software company versus a nimble startup. It's a world of difference compared to, say, just two people rolling in with a few gear cases.
Okay, I see the logistical nightmare. But what about the quality? Surely a full lighting setup beats a simple 1 or 2 lights.
Oh, well, yes, you'd expect some difference. There probably is. But the really crucial question is that small incremental gain in quality actually worth all the extra cost and complications for this specific job?
Good point. Depends on the goal.
Precisely. Chris makes the point that today, with just him and one other person, he can shoot multiple interviews and all the B-roll, the supporting shots across an entire office floor in a single day.
Wow, that's fast.
Super fast. And trying that with a full-scale setup, it'd be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe impossible.
Why? Just moving people.
Moving people, moving lights, moving gear through a working office space. It creates massive delays, huge disruption. Think about how agile a small team is. They can just kind of float through the space, light things minimally, but very intentionally, grab what they need, and get out without turning the whole place upside down.
Like a surgical strike versus a full invasion.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, much more like an agile development team compared to a huge, slow waterfall project.
That makes a ton of sense, especially, yeah, in a corporate setting where you can't just shut down the whole office. But, okay, here's the flip side. Right. If you strip down the crew, you suddenly have to wear all the hats. You're not just the DP. You're the gaffer, the grip, maybe the director too sometimes, solving problems constantly, on the fly. What's the biggest trade-off there? Do you risk quality because you're spread so thin?
Well, what's really fascinating, and this is key, is that working lean like this demands an absolutely rock-solid technical foundation. You have to know your stuff.
Because there's no specialist to bail you out.
Exactly. You can't just yell for the gaffer to fix a shadow. You have to fix it, or know how to direct your limited resources to fix it. So if you want professional results with fewer people, your understanding of light, composition, camera movement, it has to be deep, non-negotiable.
Give me an example. What does that look like?
Okay, so it means knowing like what one single light can do in 5 different ways, how to use it as your main key light, then maybe reposition or flag it to create fill, or a rim light, or an accent on the background.
Yeah, versatility.
Total versatility. It means knowing how to block or bounce light using just simple things, maybe a reflector card or a piece of black foam core. Understanding the psychology behind choosing a certain lens or camera height, learning to light for depth and separation, not just making sure things are bright enough.
So it's not just less gear, it's a deeper understanding of the gear and the principles.
Precisely. The real challenge, Chris says, is without all the specialized tools, the bells and whistles. You just have to figure things out. Your technical knowledge has to go even deeper, because if you don't have, say, a specific light, you need the theory to figure out how to get a similar result another way.
Resourcefulness born from necessity.
Totally. You become incredibly resourceful.
That's really interesting. And how has modern tech made this lean approach, well, more doable? Because tech has changed things massively, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been a complete game changer. Look at lighting. We used to have these huge, heavy, hot, incandescent lights that needed tons of power.
Right, needed a dedicated circuit sometimes.
Yeah. Now, we have compact, battery-powered LED lights. They're bright, the color is accurate, and often you can control them completely from an app on your phone. It changes everything. You don't need someone physically standing by the light to tweak it while you squint at the monitor. You pull out your phone, dial the intensity up or down, change the color temperature, real-time adjustments without moving. For a small crew, that's not just convenient. It lets one person manage what used to take maybe 2 or 3.
Frees people up.
Exactly. And it's the same with camera movement. Smooth, cinematic moves used to mean a dolly tracks, a dedicated dolly grip pushing it. A whole team effort.
Big setup.
Huge setup.
No.
You can get incredible results with a one-person gimbal rig. They're relatively light, affordable, much easier to set up. Complex moves become possible without needing that whole support crew.
It really is amazing how much capability is packed into smaller tools now. But like you said, the gear isn't magic. It still comes down to the skill, right?
100%. Having the right gear helps, and it's a big reason this small crew model is so viable now. But yeah, gear alone won't get you there.
Yeah.
Absolutely have to know how to use it effectively, how to push it to its limits.
Like Chris's travel kit.
Exactly. He mentions typically traveling with just like 3 lights. His main key light, a little panel for backlights or accents, maybe an RGB panel for color, plus some collapsible bounce cards. That's it.
That's really minimal.
It forces incredible creativity. You have to know how to shape that light, bounce it, diffuse it, flag it off walls, whatever it takes to get the look you want and expose the image correctly. Sometimes it's about blending that limited artificial light with the natural light that's already there. Understanding contrast ratios, knowing when to use different camera ISO settings.
It all comes back to that deep technical knowledge.
It does. It really ties into his channel's motto, master the technical, free your creativity.
It's so true. The more you genuinely understand the underlying principles, the better equipped you are to solve problems on the fly. And filmmaking, really any creative project, is just constant problem solving.
Especially with limitations.
Especially then. When you're working lean, the best solution often isn't buying more gear. It's hidden in your experience and your ingenuity. It really proves the point. The more you know, the less you actually need. And paradoxically, the more you can do with less.
Okay, so beyond the tech, the efficiency, the problem solving, Chris brings up something else, something more subtle maybe. Intimacy. Why is that so important, especially when you're interviewing, like, real people?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial. Think about it. A huge part of getting a good interview, especially with someone who's maybe never been on camera, is making them feel comfortable.
Right, so they can just be themselves.
Exactly. Speak naturally, forget the camera's even rolling ideally.
Yeah.
Creating that safe space, that environment of trust, is delicate work. It must be hard with lights and cameras pointed at you.
It is. Chris tells this great story from a Ken Burns masterclass. Burns, the legendary documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, of course.
In the class, he apparently asked the camera operator to turn the camera around to show the students what was behind the camera filming him.
Okay.
And it was revealing. Dozens of people milling around, gear everywhere, lights, monitors, boom mics, cables snaking across the floor. The whole 9 yards.
Wow. Standard big set.
Right. And then Ken Burns made this point. He explained how incredibly intimidating that kind of environment can be for someone who's just trying to speak honestly from the heart.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's why he keeps his interview crews tiny, minimal gear,
Yeah.
a quiet presence, just enough people and equipment to get the job done beautifully, but without overwhelming the subject. And crucially, he said it wasn't about budget for him. It was about capturing truth, helping the story come out naturally.
That's powerful. So what does that mean for the person actually being interviewed? How does the small crew change their experience?
It changes everything. Chris apparently has this opening line he uses with subjects, something like, look, your hardest job today is just trying to ignore all this stuff.
Yeah.
And just have a normal conversation with me.
Trying to put them at ease.
Exactly. And with a smaller crew, that task becomes way, way easier. The room itself just feels quieter, there's less nervous energy, less pressure. And then something really important starts to happen.
They relax.
They relax. They stop feeling like they have to perform for this big audience, and they start actually connecting with the interviewer. And that's when you get the gold. That's when someone shares something really honest, something personal, maybe something vulnerable that they just wouldn't have felt comfortable saying in front of a whole platoon of people.
Like talking to one friend versus a crowded room.
Precisely. The environment shapes the conversation. So yeah, small crews are efficient, they're cost-effective, absolutely. But maybe even more importantly, they're humanizing. And for telling real stories with real people, or honestly, even just getting genuine insights from a client or a user, that human element is, it's everything.
This really ties into the next point, doesn't it? Moving beyond just the technical skills or the emotional vibe on set and looking at the people themselves. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that I will always take the quality of the people over the sheer quantity every single time.
Absolutely. And if you connect that back to the small crew idea, the team you choose to surround yourself with can either lift your project to new heights or, frankly, drag it down. When you're operating lean, making sure you have the right people, that becomes even more critical.
Because each person carries more weight.
Exactly. Chris talks about how fortunate he was early in his career to find like 2 or 3 key people who just clicked. They shared his passion, his work ethic, his values, that same sort of relentless drive to create really high-quality stuff.
That core team.
Yeah. And they've apparently worked together, jumping on each other's projects, for over 20 years now. They built this reputation not just for delivering amazing results, but for making the whole process smoother, faster, and actually more enjoyable.
That's the dream team scenario.
It really is. He even mentioned clients flying to Arizona specifically to work with his small, efficient crew because they knew they wouldn't be sacrificing quality. They knew they'd get great work without the overhead and delays of a larger setup.
So what defines those right people then?
It often comes down to attitude.
Yeah.
Instead of, a dozen people standing around waiting for their specific cue, you have this handful of true pros who are willing to wear multiple hats when needed.
No egos allowed.
Pretty much. No ego battles, no fighting over hierarchy, just this shared mission. Let's get this done. Let's get it done right. Any collaborative project, film or startup or whatever, it's fundamentally about people working together. Structure is necessary? Sure. Hierarchy has its place. But when you're working with people who genuinely care about the outcome, who are there to serve the project first, that structure becomes a helpful framework, not a rigid barrier.
People pitching in outside their job description.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chris talks about seeing seasoned veterans happily jumping in to move gear if needed or offering constructive input outside their department. And younger folks bringing that serving attitude, just eager to learn, focused on the team's success, not just their own role. That kind of mindset, it's gold. It's invaluable.
It really is, because ultimately you can have all the fancy gear, the perfect plan on paper.
Yeah.
But if the team on the ground isn't aligned, if people aren't pulling together, the final product is going to show those cracks. It just suffers.
Definitely.
But when you do have the right people, people who are all in, leave their egos at the door, committed to the vision, suddenly even the biggest challenges feel manageable. And maybe the best part is the set or the office or wherever you're working becomes a place you actually want to be.
Yeah.
Where solving problems together is actually kind of fun. Where everyone feels like their contribution really matters.
And finding those people, those right people, it doesn't just happen by magic, right? You have to be intentional. You have to put yourself out there.
So how do you do that?
Practically.
Well, a great place to start is just getting involved in whatever your local professional community is. Almost every city has some kind of film association or a media group or tech meetups, whatever your field is.
Networking events.
Yeah. Look for local meetups, screenings if it's film, industry mixers. Go to workshops, festivals, even deer demos. Not just to learn, but specifically to meet people who share your passion.
And when you go,
Be proactive. Be the person who introduces yourself. Shake hands. Ask genuine questions about what other people are doing. And critically, listen more than you talk.
good advice.
If someone's work really resonates with you, tell them. If they mention a project they're working on, offer to help. Genuinely, however you can. Even small offers can go a long way. Chris mentioned he tries to say yes to as many coffee meetings as possible.
Yeah, because you just never know when that quick chat over coffee might turn into like a 10-year creative partnership. The point is, great teams, great crews, they're usually built way before anyone actually hits record. They're built through connection, through shared effort, and through trust.
So bringing this all together then, working small, it definitely has challenges. You wear more hats, you solve more problems yourself. You really have to push your technical skills maybe further than you thought you needed to.
For sure. It demands a lot.
But the payoff seems huge. You get incredible flexibility, you get that deeper intimacy with subjects or clients, you get real efficiency, and you get this chance to create something truly meaningful with just a few really committed people.
Yeah, it's not about trying to do everything all by yourself. That's not the point. It's about doing whatever it takes to get the job done right, but doing it with the right people, bringing the right mindset, and having that deep respect for the craft itself.
And maybe here's a final thought for everyone listening, building on that whole idea of the right people. Don't just spend your time looking for those kinds of collaborators. Actively work on being one yourself.
Good point.
Be that team member who shows up ready to serve the project's goal above all else. Be the person who consciously sets their ego aside and asks, okay, what do you need? How can I help?
Yeah.
Whether that means contributing a key idea in a meeting or just, helping coil cables or tidy up at the end of a long day, that willingness to pitch in, to collaborate, to support the overall vision, that's what makes great work possible.
It really is.
Because when the team is lean, every single person's contribution, their attitude, it just matters even more. So if you get a chance, jump on someone else's project sometime. It's a side hustle. Maybe volunteer for something you believe in. Take that chance. And show up ready to do whatever is needed. That's how you learn. That's how trust gets built. And ultimately, that's how the best stories get told, how the best products get made, how the best ideas come to life.
That's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for the great conversation.
Yeah, really great insights today. Thanks for tuning in and spending some time with us.
Thank you for joining us on the Cinematic Trail. We hope today's journey sparked new ideas and sharpened your eye behind the lens. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and as always, happy filming.